Nathan Peterman, Trace McSorley. These two players on rival teams would end up being famous, but not for the right reasons. On September 10, 2016, these two would play against each other in an in-state rivalry game. Little did each of them know that they would be considered the GOATs of football, despite not having any success in the NFL. However, we're too stubborn to realize their past success because of their countless memes. So let's go back in time to see what led to this game between two GOATs. Nathan Peterman was a very good high school prospect and was given a 4-star rating. Unfortunately, I was not able to get his high school stats, but he was able to receive many offers such as Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and Wake Forest. Peterman would choose Tennessee to play his career in the SEC, or so he thought. Nathan Peterman spent time with Tennessee in his redshirt freshman and redshirt sophomore year as the backup for the Volunteers. He did not play well as a backup though, and totaled 94 passing yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions with a 46.5% completion rate in only 43 attempts. Since he got way less playing time than fellow quarterback Josh Dobbs, a future 4th-round pick, Peterman decided that transferring was his best option. After weighing his options, Nathan Peterman decided to transfer to Pittsburgh, who was a quarterback-needy team at the time. Peterman was fortunately able to play right away due to NCAA rules letting him play and not sit out that year. Peterman won the starting job with Pitt in 2015 during his redshirt junior year. He was pretty impressive in his first year with Pitt and threw for 2,287 yards, 20 touchdowns to only 8 interceptions, along with a 61.7 completion rate. He also led Pitt to 8 wins, a total that Pitt hasn't reached since 2010. And Peterman was able to find success in another school despite not having any success in his original one. Peterman was a lock to start in 2016. So now let's go to Trace McSorley's story. Trace McSorley was extremely athletic in high school and played quarterback and cornerback in high school. In his senior year, McSorley threw for 2,605 yards, 33 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions, and also ran for 745 yards and 9 touchdowns. Defensively, he was just as good and had 34 tackles, 6 interceptions, and 7 passes defensed. Despite an incredible stat line, McSorley was only given a 3-star rating. Though he was only a 3-star rating, he did have some intriguing offers like Virginia Tech and North Carolina. Even though these really good teams were recruiting him, they only wanted him as a cornerback, and McSorley wanted to be a quarterback in college. However, the head coach for Vanderbilt, James Franklin, believed in McSorley's ability as a quarterback and offered him a scholarship. McSorley would then accept this offer to be the Commodores' quarterback, or also so he thought. In that same year, James Franklin decided to leave Vanderbilt and go to coach Penn State. Despite coaching a more talented team in Penn State, James Franklin really liked McSorley's ability at quarterback and offered him a scholarship again. This led McSorley to flip his commitment from Vanderbilt to go and join Penn State. McSorley took a much-needed redshirt year his freshman year and barely saw the field the next season. But McSorley was fortunate enough to receive the starting job in 2016 as a redshirt sophomore because Christian Hackenberg left for the NFL. Now, after having 2 separate paths to this point, Trace McSorley and Nathan Peterman saw each other playing against each other in the second game of the 2016 season for both teams. Early in the game, it looked like Pitt was going to dominate after 2 Penn State turnovers that gave Pitt an early 28-7 lead in the second quarter. However, Penn State refused to give up and made it a 28-21 game in the third quarter. After both quarterbacks fought all game, the score was 43-39 in favor of Pitt, with just over a minute left in the fourth quarter. Still, with time left, Trace McSorley tested his luck with a deep shot in the end zone, and it got picked off by Ryan Lewis. Pitt would end up winning that game 43-39. Even with this tough loss, saying McSorley had a great year for Penn State was an understatement. Joe Paterno, one of the best head coaches in college football history, left Penn State in shambles. Bill O'Brien's tenure there was just as bad, and he couldn't even get Penn State to be ranked at all during his time there. In fact, there wasn't even a week where they were ranked from 2012 to 2015. But despite all this and despite an early loss, Trace McSorley led Penn State to an 11-2 record, and they finished number 7 in the country. McSorley would also lead Penn State to finish 8th and 17th in the nation, despite being supposedly on a team left in shambles. In his career, Trace McSorley threw for 9,714 yards, 75 touchdowns to only 25 interceptions, and ran the ball for 1,654 yards and 30 touchdowns. Not bad for a kid that wasn't deemed good enough to play quarterback at the college level. After McSorley's last season with Penn State, he would end up getting drafted in the 6th round, 197th overall by the Baltimore Ravens. Now looking back at Peterman's finish with Pitt, he played very well. In his senior and last season with Pitt, Peterman threw for 2,855 yards, 27 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions, along with a 61.7 completion rate. Even though Pitt only finished 8-5, the Penn State team they beat finished 7th, and they would beat number 2 Clemson, who would win the national championship that same year. Not bad for a quarterback considered not worthy of a starting SEC job. Peterman's success would get him drafted in the 5th round, 171st overall by the Buffalo Bills. In 2017, Peterman would get a start in his first season midway through the year, and yeah, we all know the story of how it went. Peterman would end up throwing 5 interceptions to the Chargers and would end up getting benched later that game. In his second year with the Bills, Peterman still continued to struggle and got cut by the Bills, but ended up getting picked up by the Raiders. Due to Peterman's poor quarterback play with the Bills, he was sarcastically considered the GOAT. In 2020, McSorley was mediocre to below average as a backup to the Ravens, but poor quarterback play wasn't the reason why McSorley is also called the that McSorley created while he was at Penn State ended up getting so popular and ended up being a TikTok famous song. TikTok creators would make him in Madden or something else and would make him a 99 overall or something like that, and they would play his song while playing that TikTok. Despite people sarcastically giving Nathan Peterman and Trace McSorley GOAT titles, you could say they were the GOAT at their college because of the impact they made in a short amount of time. It's sad to see their previous success in college get derailed because of memes, because as I showed you, they're way more than that.
Into the end zone.
See what Peterman does. He's got room to run. Nathan Peterman stretching the ball out, and he scored!
Well, nothing down the field. He had 3 receivers to his left, sees wide open field, and now can he get in? Here comes Allison, the safety.
Nice again. Eyes. Deep for Tompkins.